Many say para-unity is a myth. Many believe that the paranormal community is toxic, filled with egos, know-it-alls, and wannabe celebrities. Let's clear the air here and now. This thing we call para-unity is what we make it. Tonight, let's do something different. Welcome to Necromancer Live. Hello and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I'm your host, Justin Brownlowe. We are presenting episode 82, I believe, tonight. Sometimes I lose track. I don't even know. It's 82? Okay. Our guests tonight, we have three members of Elite Paranormal Society. I know Jeremy and Laura are from Middletown, Maryland, I believe. But I don't believe the whole group's from the same town, so we'll get to know where everybody's from, what everybody's doing. Let's do it, guys. What's up, you three? Let's introduce you guys. We have Gilson, we have Laura, and we have Jeremy. I have to say, the very first thing I think of when I think of Laura and Jeremy is they're probably the best looking para couple I know.
I don't know about all that.
Well, there are some good looking couples out there in the para field, but you're one of them, so I'll say that. Let's read this bio and give everybody kind of like Gilson's not in this bio, so he can give his own bio here in a moment. But I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Please share the stream. If you're watching from the EPS para community, please, by all means, invite your friends along, and we're happy to have you guys here as well. But Jeremy and Laura are members of Elite Paranormal Society. They're from Middletown, Maryland, like I said. After having some unexplained experiences, Laura would seek out a local paranormal team to satisfy her desire to know more. It wouldn't be until later that Jeremy would join the team after he was invited to a paranormal investigation with EPS and would have some interesting experiences of his own. From that point on, Laura and Jeremy would unite on a quest to find answers with EPS and enjoy investigating the paranormal on the East Coast for 5 years. Their love for the paranormal and helping people is what drives them. Join us right now. Right now. So we have Missy and Jessica on the line. If you have any questions, we will get to them periodically through the show. We want you to chat with each other and engage with our guests. Gil, why don't you kind of give us some information about how you got started on EPS before we get to Laura and Jeremy, and kind of set the groundwork for what EPS is, what it stands for, how it gets started, all that stuff.
Basically, I had an interest. I'm Gilson, by the way, but I had an interest in paranormal because I had personal experiences when I was a child and not realizing it. And as I was growing older, I was just starting having experiences around my house where I used to live, and having experiences. I'm a Civil War reenactor, and when I go out and do reenactments and stuff like that, I would have experiences at night, sleeping on the campground and the battlefield and stuff like that. Have personal experiences, and also just driving down the street and seeing different apparitions and stuff like that. So Freddie Johnson was online one night saying that he was going on a ghost hunt and going on a ghost tour and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I want to get involved. So I messaged Freddie. He's one of our teammates. I messaged him on Facebook and I said, hey, I want to get involved. How do I get involved? And Freddie's like, hey, I'm meeting with the founder, Rob. We're having a meeting now. Why don't you just come on over and meet us? I'm like, all right, cool. Where are you at? And Rob was giving me directions to his house. And come to find out, he lived like 3 blocks away from me, just like right around the corner. So I went to his house and got involved, and he explained everything that the Elite Paranormal Society does. A lot of the things that we do is to help people be comfortable staying in their home, help people to understand and realize what's going on in their home, and make sure that people don't think they're crazy or hearing different things and stuff like that, and making them think they're not crazy and stuff in their own home. And I like it. I'm a volunteer firefighter, so I've always helped. I've been a firefighter since I was 14, and I've always helped people, and I got involved. So,
yeah, that's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of people out there that share the same sentiments. Real quick, explain how a lot of people go through hauntings and a lot of strange phenomena that, you know, seem scary at times or unexplainable at others. It's more common than people think. Would you agree with that? And if you do agree, why is it, maybe compared to now, but before, why was it even harder to find help compared to now?
Before, the paranormal was such a taboo subject, so people couldn't talk about it. You would get sent to a mental institution, or you would get sent to church for them to bless you or tell you that you're going to hell because you were involved in this, or you think this is going on, or you just need to pray and that'll make it go away.
You need more counseling.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration, is it?
It's not. No.
So people wouldn't say that these things were happening to them because they didn't want people to think that they're crazy. Now it's a lot more out in the world that weird things happen and that there are paranormal experiences, and there's people out there that you can call now that can help you.
Yeah, that was my point of the question. It feels like now you have much more resources at your disposal to try to find help. Now it's oversaturated with just about anybody who can put up a Facebook page or a website and grab a couple gadgets from Ghost Stop and go out and investigate your home. So, real quick, what message would you give people that are seeking help in their home when trying to find a reputable, credible group to actually come into their home and trust them in saying whether you have something going on or not?
I would say find somebody that's not the first thing they're gonna ask you is, how much can you pay us? Those people there, I believe aren't credible, in my opinion. They're not in it to help, they're in it just to make money. Our team does not charge at all to help these people. We never have, we're never going to. And I think that's a big part of making them feel more comfortable with us, for one, and know that we're not going to pull their leg. That's a big part of it. And then also, just when you're done, show them what you got and make sure you explain everything to them. Make sure that they understand and have a better comprehension of what it is, what it could be, how to deal with it, and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you're seeking a team, research that team. The team that's coming in, if they are a true paranormal investigation team, they're going to be researching you by asking you all the questions and find out about what you're dealing with. You need to try and find out about them. Ask them questions. If they're reputable, they're going to answer your questions and they're going to put you at ease. They're going to be able to help you before they even get to your house. They'll be able to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So, Laura, was your experiences like Gilson's, where you just driving down the road and seeing a ghost on the side of the road? I mean, because that's kind of like he kind of breezed over that, which is funny, But kind of explain what experiences you had. I want it all. Give it all to me, man.
No, mine was not on the road. It was living in my grandparents' old house. My parents had converted it into an apartment. And we would go over there when the renovations were still being done, me and my friend, and we would hang out because there was a bedroom was done and we were still in a huge blanket. And we would hear weird footsteps upstairs. One time the radio got turned off and no one was up there. We'd go and look and no one would be there. So us being like 13, 14, we're like, oh my gosh, we gotta get out of here. We get scared. And then later down the road, Jeremy lived in the house that we had converted to an apartment, and he had got up to go to work because he would leave for work really early. And I stayed in bed and go back to sleep. So it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't get up early. And I felt something that felt almost like a cat, like jump on the bed, and you could feel the blankets pressed down, and it came all the way around up behind me. And then I could feel something cold touch the back of my neck, and I heard somebody murmur something. I was that frozen in terror that they hear about in the movies. You're just kind of stuck there going, what the heck was that? I'm by myself. No one else is here. And then I eventually jumped out of the bed and was like, nope, I'm leaving. My dog was asleep in her bed. The cat was asleep on the sofa. Neither one of them was in the bedroom. So needless to say, I didn't sleep over there by myself for a while. And then I started sleeping over there again, and it happened a second time. So that was really the big things that sparked my interest of stuff that would happen over time. And then ended up making friends with Gilson. And it was a little bit later that I found out then that he was in the paranormal field and knew Rob, and he would always tell me all the stories. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's every opportunity I can go. I'm like, please take me with you. And it came up one Saturday. He's like, oh, we're going to the temple. Do you want to come along? And I was like, yeah. So I switched my shift at work just so I could go. And it was awesome. I enjoyed it. The team was great. And everybody was really cool. I just fit in right away with everyone. It was just the perfect fit, and it's been all great ever since.
What's so funny about it is we were talking about it during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, we were talking about it during a Super Bowl game. So we left the Super Bowl game at the firehouse, and we walked over to another room. And we walked to the other room, and we started talking about the paranormal, and I was showing her videos of Rob's stuff, and she's like, oh, man, I got to go.
So it worked out well in the end.
Well, outside the obvious reason of you wanting to know what the heck it was, climbed in bed with you and spoke to you, what is the draw and the obsession, for lack of a better term, with what you saw EPS doing? What was it?
I think it was the way that everybody worked together to collaborate, to collect the evidence, to be able to analyze it and come up with some kind of answers. Because I think all of us seek answers as much as we seek to help people. And meeting other people that were like-minded, that wanted to get those answers and be able to explain what's happening, I think was one of the biggest draws for wanting to be a part of that team.
Right. It's kind of like CSI mixed with Unsolved Mysteries. Both your two favorite things mixed together.
My biggest draw that drew me to the team is I already knew Freddie, so he was a good friend of mine. And when I met Rob for the first time, it pretty much, when we were in his living room talking and having a meeting, we clicked right away. And, we became really good friends, and that's how we all started, good friends and getting along with each other. And one of the things that sparked me really more with the team is actually experiencing more and more that was happening, and not realizing, hey, this is happening more than I thought. Maybe one time or 3 times, one time I'll hear a voice or whatever, but when we went to a location, especially the temple, you're hearing more and more and more, and you always got more. So it intrigued me and wanted more to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do we want to do some shout outs real quick? We've had time. We got 18 viewers on Facebook now. Got some 8 on YouTube. I think we want to do some shout outs real quick if you girls want to.
Sure. I have Derek, I have Mary, I have Sandy, I have Bill, I have Valerie, I have Tony, I have Stefan, I have Robert, I have Josh, and I have Sharon. Those are the only ones that have commented.
Awesome. Hey, we got to get more people chatting it up.
And on YouTube, we have Betty, Val, Sam Thomas, Mountain View, and Freddie Johnson. Those are the only ones. Yeah, those are the only ones that's commented so far. There's more, but.
Thanks, everybody.
Any questions for the Peanut Gallery yet?
Val actually had a question, but Freddie answered it. She wanted to know how many team members there were.
Freddie, stop it. How am I supposed to run a show?
Well, actually, and I thought I was going to answer, and I was like, wait, I think I meant 8. Freddie's like, there's 11.
I can see people counting everybody on the thumbnail of the video, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God.
Well, I was just going through of who, I personally met, but yeah, I was wrong, and I apologize, but.
Why don't you guys kind of go through? I'm sorry, Jeremy, what?
For those watching, Robert Murphy, I know, is on Facebook, and Freddie, I think you said, was on YouTube. They are part of our team.
Yep, Rob's our founder.
Yeah, you can go through and shout everybody on your team out and kind of, explain the dynamic and their roles if you want.
So we have Robert Murphy. He's our founder. He's the one that started the team. He's been in the field for probably as long as he can remember. He started out by having experiences in his own home and just wanting answers, wanting to know what was going on.
He tried out on many different teams, and none of them filled the need that he felt there was for the paranormal, so he created his own, and that's why he chose the name Eilite, because he wanted us to be elite and be doing the things that others weren't.
Yeah. Yep. And then we've got Stephanie and Danny Zatala. They're team members of ours. Ryan and Lindsay Kirkland are also members of ours. We got Freddie Johnson, and then we got Laura, myself, and Gilson.
Mm-hmm. And we have Janie and Sean Harris.
Yep. Janie is our group medium.
Yes.
Phenomenal medium for everything she does for us. She's like our bloodhound when it comes to
That's what
paranormal investigations and stuff like that. So she's a wonderful asset to our team.
Yep. Ryan is great on our tech end. He always gets the newest, coolest equipment. Lindsay's one of our investigators. Mm-hmm. Stephanie does a lot of our research for us. Yeah. And Danny is big with helping with all of the cameras and a lot of the media stuff that we do.
Yeah.
So not every team uses psychics and mediums. What would you say to those teams and people who are not sure about psychics and mediums? What's your experience? Kind of elaborate a little bit more.
We use the medium a lot because of her abilities. When you have a connection with what she presents, and it's, how do you say it?
Confirmed?
Yeah, it's confirmed by the client. It's confirmed by something that's happened to us or something like that. When it's confirmed with the medium, it makes the experience increase a little bit more. Mm-hmm. When she can sit there and make people cry in an investigation because they're like, I cannot believe you know all this stuff about us and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay. And she is in Pennsylvania. So she doesn't get to go to many of the investigations that we do. But she'll call us on the phone and do a walkthrough over the phone and describe the houses to us and what room she's in. And the viewers and the client is like, I cannot believe she's telling me all this, and she's telling me this stuff about my family and stuff. Well, and once it confirms it and you have it all meshed together, it's just like, oh, wow.
So Rob contacted Janie one evening and says, we're going to a cemetery. When we get there, we're going to call you and have you do a read on where we're at. Well, the thing is, we weren't going to a cemetery. We went to a client house. We get to the location and we call Janie, and Janie's like, you guys are not at a cemetery. You guys are in a house. And I mean, she came all the way down to the details of the fact that there was a cat in the house.
Cat's name, and certain mugs and the buildings and stuff that were on the property, and it was all accurate.
And we had her on speakerphone, and the client's jaw was just on the floor. He couldn't believe it.
He was floored. But to those that are skeptics, complete and utter respect to that. If you've never experienced, I thought it was a bunch of hooey balooey until I met her and saw the things that she could do. Once you actually meet them, and if they can give you something, or you constantly, repeatedly see how much information they're giving that comes up to be accurate, it's kind of hard to dismiss it, just like anything else paranormal.
Yeah.
Well, watch some of our live streams, because we live stream our investigations, and even some of our viewers will jump on. Mm-hmm. We've had people jump on halfway through a session and start spitting stuff out that you can't go back and rewatch or re-see the comments or anything, and they're just hitting on stuff that we've already confirmed that they didn't see. And that's pretty incredible at times too.
It is. I know for me personally, we actually work with two with abilities, and for me personally, you're not only investigating people's homes and locations and claims of the paranormal, you're actually researching and investigating the people who have displayed the abilities. So it's not only it's like you're validating the paranormal in people and in homes and locations, and I think that's valuable because obviously there's skepticism, there's intrigue. People want to know the truth. People want to get down to why these things happen. And like you said, it's one thing that you record a voice. It rarely sounds like the person that they may have knew in life. Mm-hmm. For someone to make a connection with another person that you believe that they connected with I think it's much more powerful in the way. Would you agree with all those things, disagree, or how would you respond to that?
Yeah, it definitely gives it a lot more validity for them when you can have the medium there and they're like, oh, well, your dad, his name was this, he was this tall, he liked to smoke this particular pipe. Like, she lists off all this crazy stuff that nobody would know. But even for a lot of our cases, 2 weeks or more before we even go, she'll start getting stuff and she'll text it to Rob. So then he'll have all of it already in writing, time and date stamped of all this information she had gotten that he can then go and share with the client. And the client's like, there's no way you could have known because you haven't even met us yet. So it's really good to have that verification. And we continue to test Janie on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like trying to see if she can figure it out. Like, we don't give her any information when we go to a location. She goes in completely blind.
Yeah.
So she has no idea.
You know, we were on an investigation once where I was standing outside and Rob was on the phone with her, texting her.
That was the first time I think she actually did over the phone.
Yeah.
Investigation of a house.
We were on an investigation of a house and I looked up and there was somebody looking through the window and nobody was in the house.
5 minutes before that.
5 minutes before that, Janie texted Rob and said, who's looking at the window? And
they're going to see somebody.
Yeah, and they're going to see somebody. And I saw somebody peeping out the window. And Rob's got that information. I'm like, oh, my God. And the client's like, oh, my goodness gracious.
We're up there. You said it. And we're up there laughing because we're like, look at this.
Yeah. And I didn't know what they were talking about because they didn't share the text with me. I was just looking up the window and seeing somebody pop up the mini blinds. It's like, wait a minute, there's somebody up there. Mm-hmm. And you know, when she validates that and gives you information that coincide with that, it's just great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, I know the girls that are on the call right now, they can definitely relate with all those things you're saying about how it must feel for them to be validated and how it must feel for others, you know, just from the outside perspective, seeing something miraculous happening. It doesn't really seem to get old. You kind of scratch your head and try to figure out how people are able to do that, but I've been trying to figure that out. You know, I'm obsessed with, you know, figuring out all, you know, the hows and whys about every little thing. We may not know, but there is definitely some type of access to information that's not readily available in the five senses. It could be that, you know, telepathy is happening. I feel like sometimes they read minds from people. I think sometimes they read the energy from the locations. Sometimes they talk directly to spirits and get information from spirits. Very, very fascinating. But we'll shift gears. I know Val had a question if Jess wants to go ahead and ask it.
Absolutely. She asked, what was one of your most memorable investigations and why?
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun,
dun. We did a location. The video is still on our Facebook page called The Devil House. It was the second time we were at that location in a couple weeks. They had called us in to see what was up because they knew something was not right there. And
that was the first time.
Was it the first
It
time?
was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was one of the times.
Yeah,
so
it was the first time we were there.
We're upstairs in the attic area, and you've got Janie, Rob, Laura, and the client Kim was sitting in the room. Of course, it's pitch black. We could barely see our hand in front of ourselves, but I'm watching our live stream with an IR camera, and I could see Kim's head go back. She's sitting Indian style on the floor, and then she puts her hands in her face and just doesn't move. And that's when I kind of knew something was wrong. At that point, I said, Kim, are you okay? She didn't answer. She just stayed balled up. And at that point, I'm like, Rob, something's wrong. Rob went to her. He's like, Kim, are you all right? Still no answer. So he's like, I'm going to put holy water on you just so you have a heads up. And when he started to do that and say a prayer, she looked up and smacked his hand and went right back into a ball. And we're all kind of at first, for pretty much everybody in the room except for Rob, it's really the first time we'd seen this. So
He thought he offended her or something at first.
Yeah, so we're all kind
Because she
of...
smacked him and was like, not even, and then kind of sat there for a second, and he's like, what? And then she just curled back up into a ball.
Yeah, and for us, we don't realize what's going on. It's the first time we'd seen it. She curls back up, he starts to do it again, and then she started to almost get up like she was going to attack him. And at that point, we had to turn the camera because the other client who didn't want to be on camera got up to go help her, and it took 3 of us to get her out of that room. And I mean, she's no bigger than Laura. I mean, she wasn't, she's not like a real big girl, real strong or anything. She's just the average woman. And it took 3 of us to get her down the stairs. And I think for a lot of us, that's probably the most memorable that we've been in.
And she still doesn't remember parts of it. She only remembers little pieces. There was things coming through the spirit box telling her to get him and to get up and cussing at us. And
I have so many memorable.
and the one other part was when we did the walkthrough of the house with Janie, she had said that something was going on in the attic. We need to be up there at midnight. Well, after all of this stuff went down and we all got outside and we looked at the clock, it was like 8 minutes after 12. So we realized that all of this happened at midnight, that fun, magical time.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Gilson, did you want to add to that, or do you feel like you're...
Well, my most memorable experience is I had so many. The one just recently, about 2-3 weeks ago.
I guess about 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago, when I was choked and going through an experience there, and Rob came over and did some prayers on me and stuff like that. And the spirit that was, the spirit that was outside of me and probably inside of me was telling me to attack Rob. And I smacked his hand and seems like everybody's targeting Rob because I don't know what's going on, but that was the most memorable experience right now lately, because I've never experienced where I was getting choked and really, really hard and having something trying to tell me to do something to somebody else. I was in the chair, holding the arms of the chair and gripping the chair really hard, trying not to attack Rob, and trying, because the spirit that was telling me to get up, hit him, do physical harm to him, and just get out, because he didn't like the situation that was going on. So Rob came over and put holy water on me, and when he put holy water on me, it burned. I felt the burning of the holy water that he put on me. Now, granted, every time that he puts holy water on me, it doesn't burn. He'll sprinkle me with it, and it's cold feeling, and it gives me a shock. Well, this time when he put the cross on my forehead, I could feel it burning on my head, and when he did the splashing on me, I could feel the splashes and splashes on my arms burning. It was hot. So, and that was, and then the spirit to sit there and then tell me, get up, hit him, do something, hurt him. And it's like, okay.
Not only is it easy to remember because it's only 3 weeks ago, that's crazy, man. That's
The craziest part is, we're all in the room, and he says, "Rob, I'm getting choked." And we look over, and he is like stretched out. I thought his butt was off the seat.
Yeah, we saw his posture kept getting better and better and better.
It was wild.
It felt like it was stretching me. And, the backstory of it is the spirit that was there was hung. And I was experiencing whatever the spirit was when he was hung. Because the side of my neck, this side right here, was all red. And they have pictures of it. They could see I'm wearing a chain. I've always wore this chain. And they could see the chain embedded into my skin when I moved it. And it was red. And I was saying prayers in my head. I was trying to control it as best as possible. There was viewers online that were watching the live feed, was trying to get everybody out of the room by doing different things. Jeremy got out of the room first because he needed to go listen to a recorder. They wanted to find out if they heard Mama on the recorder. Then somebody said there was something about I'm smelling CO2, carbon monoxide, and something about the furnace is not
so
properly.
2 more people left the room.
Yeah, 2 more people left the room, and that's when everything started to increase. And there was only 4 of us still in the room. The homeowner, which was the female homeowner, Laura, myself, and Steph. Yeah. And we're all in this room, and we continued on with the investigation with the live feed. And that's when it started increasing. And when Rob came back into the room, that's when I started feeling like there was something on my throat, closing into my throat. And I could feel it right here on my jugular, like it was squeezing. And I never experienced something like I've experienced getting punched, pushed,
he gets
scratched. I experienced all this, but this was a heightened level, and a heightened level of the spirit telling me to do stuff with myself and in my head. And I never, I'm saying sorry to Rob every day.
So, do you believe that some psychic sense was allowing you to experience what the entity or spirit had experienced when they were dying? Or do you feel like you just mentioned, do you feel like this was a form of communication?
I'm an empath, so I have those empathic abilities where, I feel their sickness, I feel their pain, I feel the coldness around us, and everything like that. So I feel that I was feeling his pain, and feeling what he was going through at the time of his death.
And he was angry.
And he was very angry.
Yeah, he was not happy.
Well, the reason I asked, because a few things you mentioned that it was like a form of communication in a way. I don't know if that's exactly how you would classify it. And I'm also interested in knowing about how the praying and the laying on hands and the holy water, do you believe that was effective? Do you believe, since this was an empathic ability, in your opinion, do you feel like...
Yes, it was...
Do you feel like it...
I do. It felt...
Go ahead.
When I was sitting there doing the prayers myself, I think myself wasn't helping. And I needed the power and faith of everybody else in the room to help me more to overcome whatever he was going through or overcome what he was doing. Because he was very mad. Rob whipped out the holy water. Rob whipped out the prayers out loud. I didn't do them out loud. And he also whipped out sage.
The sage is what finally...
And sage is the one... Yeah, the sage finally increased him of, oh crap, they mean business. They're going to get me out of here. I need to do something. You know what I mean? Right. Because I felt him. I felt him behind me. And Rob brought over the sage after we did the prayer and he was doing more saging. He brought over the sage and he was on this side of me. And I could feel the spirit go behind me because it was cold. I felt the spirit go behind me and he was standing right here. And he was trying to get me to get up. He was in my head, get up, get up. And Rob was, putting more of sage. And I could feel him leaving me and going past and behind Laura. People were seeing on the live feed it was behind Laura. We had the Kinect camera set up, the SLS camera, and you could see this figure behind Laura, the stick figure. And as I was going through this, I still wanted to push record on the SLS camera. And there was something, I guess it was the paralyzing effect, I guess. I don't know. But I was trying to push record, and Rob was like, no, I'll get it. Just, But I could feel him escape, you know what I mean? Trying to run away, And I think that helped more. Mm-hmm. And generally when I'm on an investigation, and if I feel something, it might be a coincidence. I feel burning on my arm. Well, sometimes I'll feel burning on my arm because it's a different thing or a different situation. But this was when I started doing the prayers. That's when I started knowing that my throat was, my voice changed.
It was more than normal.
And it was more than normal. And that's when I needed to get Rob involved. I know I should have done it earlier, but it is what it is. And the day after was wonderful for me,
Mm-hmm.
And
you were in the best mood we'd seen you in a long time.
You got a good cleansing that
night. and we did the live after video of me explaining the situation that happened. And Rob, after we did that video, Rob and Laura and Stephanie continued on through the house, doing saging through the house. As I was still sitting there in the dining room, I could feel him going into different rooms, trying to run away from the sage. And as Rob was coming up the stairs, my throat started burning again, my ear started burning, my neck started burning again, and it was starting to increase again. And I could feel the presence of the spirit sitting, I don't know if it was cowardly trying to hide beside me because I was the biggest guy there, or he knew that he could affect me in some way, and he was just, trying to get me to stop doing whatever was going on, because he didn't want to run, he didn't want to leave. Mm-hmm. So I could feel this spirit's presence throughout the house running to get away from the sage.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I was curious about was it the praying, was it the holy water, and you hadn't mentioned the sage yet. So that's interesting that the sage was what was most effective in that situation, because you can kind of infer what type of energy you're dealing with based on what worked, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was kind of wanting to get to the bottom of that. Thank you for detailing that all out for me. I was curious about that. No, that's okay, because I'm constantly wanting to learn and study and understand, and I have personally never had that kind of experience, so if something like that happens,
you're next.
It's beneficial that I hear people explain that stuff. So let's get to the questions in chat. I know we have several. Hopefully the girls are writing them down.
I have 4 right now, but I don't know if Missy wants to go first or not.
Go first? I don't have any except for one.
Okay, go ahead.
Josh wants to know why Robert keeps getting attacked.
By the teammates.
Yeah.
Well, you say that because I also had at the temple, Rob and I are standing at the top of some stairs, looking down. It's about 10 steps down to the first landing, but you can only see about 4 of them, the first 4, because of how dark it was. But I kind of come and stand just up behind Rob's left shoulder, and we both look down the stairs, and we both point at the same time without saying a word. So at that point, we both knew we saw it. It jumps up to the corner of the ceiling, and we both at the same time move our hands. And at this point, we're like, okay, yeah, we both see it. It jumps down to the bottom of the landing. I all of a sudden see 2 little glowing dots like eyeballs, and I got the sudden urge to hit Rob and just watch him go down the stairs.
Uh-oh.
They froze.
Yep, they froze. We'll see if they come back.
No.
They're frozen in place.
Robert said no video or sound. I will be back.
Okay, that's weird.
Let me check on.
Yeah, they try to get us to intimidate him, to not get saged or whatnot.
Not get evicted.
Yeah. But that's probably why Rob's the one that gets targeted through us.
You had froze up for a good 10-15 seconds there, so I apologize for that. I didn't know if you were aware.
I didn't know. That's all right.
It's almost like the call got dropped and you're sitting there talking the whole time and no one's listening.
We're on Wi-Fi right now. We definitely have storms in the area, so that could have affected it.
That will explain everything. Go ahead with the YouTube questions.
All right. Val had another question. She asked, what is the best tool you find works almost every time for removal of a paranormal attack?
Sage.
We use sage, holy water, and in some cases salt and prayer, in our opinion.
Prayer, yeah.
You can't really do any without the others. For us to have a successful removal, we have to have all of those tools together to remove a negative energy from a location. It's a completely different step to remove it from a person. Rob is the one that would handle that one. I'm still learning on the house part right now. We'll get to the people eventually, I guess.
Faith. We tell everybody have 100% faith. That doesn't necessarily mean a religious. You just have to have faith 100% in what you believe in. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a big thing as well.
Having the belief that the holy water works, having the belief that the sage works.
And the strength and numbers of everybody assisting us. And even the live viewers that watch us, their faith in what they provide us also. And then, what everybody in the team, we do a prayer before, we do a prayer after. And if people leave in between our investigations, we do a prayer for them as they're leaving. And it's, to me, it's strength in numbers, and strength in numbers of faith and prayers, and the sage and the holy water is all different tools that you can use to increase that experience.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sam asked, have you guys ever brought home spirits before? If so, how did that go?
None of us personally have. Gilson had one that would show up in his dreams occasionally.
Yeah.
Rob has had an attachment that came home with him. It took a couple tries for him to remove it. When you bring something home, you don't usually realize it yourself. It's the people around you that are going to notice it first. So a lot of, Gilson noticed it, Rob's wife noticed it.
People on the stream.
Yeah, so a lot of people were letting him know that this was happening, because your personality will start to change. You won't really care about anything. You'll back away from the people. So it's different signs that will lead up to you knowing that you brought something home. And if you do, that's never a good thing to have an attachment. So you want to seek out a way to get it removed. He luckily worked it out, got it removed, solved the problem.
Okay. Sam also asked, do you all ever find any haunted objects that has caused some to deal with the paranormal activity?
No.
Our team, not so much since we've been on it. I'm not sure if Rob has had anything prior.
We've had not so much haunted objects. We have encountered a couple of spirits within locations that thought items that belonged to the clients were theirs. Yeah. And they wanted those items because they reminded them of something that they had, but they weren't really any kind of negative energy. They were just there and they liked whatever it was, whether it was the knife or the sword or whatever. But we haven't encountered much for haunted objects. We know a lot of people that have, and a lot of other teams that we network with, but it's not something that we have personally dealt with. We did have a couple of people that have reached out to us about, we had a music box that showed up at a person's house, and then she tried to mail it off to somebody and it came back, and then she smashed it to pieces, and then it came back again. But we haven't been able to get it ourselves.
Oh, we have that one doll coming, I think.
Yeah, we have a doll coming that supposedly got some issues, but we haven't encountered much physically with that yet.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Have you been to the Archive of the Afterlife in Moundsville, West Virginia?
We've been to the prison. That's the only thing in Moundsville that we've been to.
If you want to research haunted objects and relics, you definitely want to check out Steve Hummel's museum.
Awesome.
Cool. We had more experience away from Moundsville than we did at Moundsville.
Yeah.
That whole area is on a ley line. It's, around that big old, Grave Creek Mound there, and there's a lot of history. Ohio River goes right through there. It's a hot spot.
Yeah.
You guys said that a doll. You guys were getting a doll. Is that for Gilson?
Oh my God! They just destroyed
Sorry.
their microphone. Wait till you guys listen to your laugh just then. Your microphone just blew up.
Sorry. Is it staying? Is it staying with Gilson?
No, it's not for me. There's only one doll that everybody says it loves me is Paul the doll from Philip, and no, I don't like dolls. No.
We'll go to certain locations, walk in a room, he'll see a few of them, just turn around and walk out. He's done. He doesn't
done.
know.
We were just in Boonesboro, sitting at the traffic light, and Laura's like, "Look at that store. Look at that store." And I'm like, "No."
And a creepy doll hovering
Yeah.
in the window, and you went, "Look at it."
There's dolls everywhere, and I'm like, "No."
It's great. It's great.
Any more questions from YouTube or Facebook?
Nope.
Okay.
I do have a couple new viewers.
I see them.
Janie's watching. Gina Rutledge is watching. Philip Wyatt.
The genie.
Jamie Hunt and Nelson and Daniel.
What's cool about our relationship with EPS? We have a lot of the same viewers.
Yeah.
And I think that community is growing more and more as we do things together. I have to apologize. I've been trying to get Robert in on the show to bring you guys on, but it's really hard for me to get him on Wednesday nights.
He works
His
nights.
work schedule, yeah.
So I'm gonna have to do something just for him and maybe a few others. Maybe we can get Janie and Fred and some of the others like Danny or something on the show, so we can get some more. You guys got a big group, so it may take several episodes to cover
There you go.
everybody. But I know that it's worth mentioning that we felt a pretty good connection when we met each other. Just the personality matching, just down to earth, nice people to be around, not super imposing egos and all that kind of stuff that you can encounter at events and in the Paro community. It's really nice to just hang out and appreciate people for who they are. And I hope that next year is the year that we actually collab. I know we're trying to do collabs with everybody in the Midwest and the East Coast that we like, since we have so many friends, but EPS is definitely somebody that we want to try our very best to collab with, just so we can hang out more. It's not necessarily
That was fantastic.
Well, when we first met each other at the bash, we had already been talking. We had already been in contact with Josh. We had chatted with you a few times as well, but it was almost like instant family on both sides. I think speak for you guys as well. I know you guys have said it too, but it just the connection we had and the fun we had was just instantaneous. It was great.
It was.
Yeah, you guys the KOA here and stay, and we can investigate there. That'll be a fun adventure.
That's a cool place.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the KOA in Gettysburg is haunted AF.
Yes.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, you were explaining to me your one experience that was awesome and happened there.
Yeah, it's funny because Laura was explaining her incident that happened in her bed. I have never experienced that in my life, anywhere, my 40 years on this earth. And it happened at the Gettysburg KOA. I'm sitting there trying to wrestle my CPAP mask to put it on, and someone probably 200 pounds at least sit down right next to me in my air mattress. And I'm like, I spring up like I'm 19 years old again. I'm like, what's that? Oh my God, that was unexpected. It was cool because we were hearing footsteps around the cabin. That's gravel, a lot of gravel. You can hear footsteps very well all around the campground, and it was just cool to experience that because there's claims. It's Gettysburg. It's cool. So I want to know what do you guys do when you don't have any residential cases, you don't have anything coming in? What do you kind of guys do on your downtime? Do you try to do more educational stuff, put more live shows out there? What do you do on your downtime to try to keep your tools sharp?
We do cemeteries every once in a while. We'll get together just as kind of a fun casual, and we'll go out and test out new equipment and show each other how to use different devices and to better understand things. But we also will have times that we'll just get together and have a cookout, have a bonfire, and just talk and connect as a team, as individuals, and not so much always as paranormal investigators. And I think that's one of the reasons why our team is so good, is because we all have that friendship and that relationship with each other. When something does happen, we know each other well enough when we know something's not right.
We are definitely to the point where at any given time we can look at one another and pretty much know what we're thinking or what we want to do next or what needs to be done next. Whether it's in the investigation or outside the investigation. Danny and Steph, for instance, they come over pretty much every Friday night and just hang out. You know, we just cook and have fun, play video games, that kind of stuff. Rob will come over every once in a while and just hang out, and
Rob will
go hang out over there. And
Rob will go to Bert, a bone spur up his butt or something like that, and he'll be like, "Hey, let's just go to Sharpsburg." All right, let's go to Sharpsburg. Hey, let's go to Shepherdstown. We'll just go to the cemetery. We'll just do an awful wind thing and not, we'll just do it off the wind to see if anything's going on. And, me and Rob did an investigation at Shepherdstown, and we never expected, but there was other not viewers, but there was viewers watching us, in the parking lot, in the driveway next to us while we were doing the investigation. Well, they wanted to wait till we were done so they could come talk to us. And, we're sitting at Sheets, and I have Elite Paranormal Society on the back of my Jeep. I have a Jeep Patriot, and it's all across there. And, we wear our shirts out. We wear, whenever we're doing an investigation, we wear our shirts out. And to get people's reaction to see if they're going to come talk to us or whisper something and something going on. Me and Rob were just sitting in Sheets eating, and there was a tap on the window and scared the crap out of me. But there was a tap on the window, and she's like, "Are you guys paranormal investigators? Are you doing stuff around here?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're doing, here's our card." It's the off the whim kind of things that we do just to get out there to scratch our heads, to get us back into the realm of things and get back into it. The Sunday night, the Sunday day when we do the live Paratalk on Facebook and we do the live Paratalk on Paranormal Warehouse, that helps us get more information out. A lot of the, we've done a lot of the vendor things lately, and that helped a lot, to educate people. It helps me get more comfortable with when somebody asks me off a whim question right away, and I have to come out and answer it.
Yeah.
So it's helping me more, repetitive stuff.
And we have our group chat that all of us are in. So if we randomly come up with a crazy idea of something we want to try, we'll just message it to each other, and then it just starts a random chat. So we all talk with each other at least once a week.
There's not a day that goes by that not something comes across that messenger
pretty much,
to the whole team. We're constantly chatting, and it's just one big family at this point for us. And it's to the point where I don't think any of us could imagine not being in contact with any of the other guys. It would just be way too weird and saddening not to be in communication with them at this point.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Before we get to Val's question, which is, it's been a favorite in the chat. I noticed that you guys are offering a mobile live streaming setup. I want to talk, kind of explain how that works, and was it inspired by some of the stuff that we went over Gettysburg the last time we met up with, trying to, take notes and, share ideas with the live streaming? How has that evolved into what you guys are doing now?
Definitely inspired by what you had showed us, for sure. I definitely give credit to you for, showing us the app and your rig and all. We did come across a camera finally that Gilson was able to modify, take the IR filter out of.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started playing around with that. And of course, Deadlight's the only lights that we'll use. I mean, we're just in love with those.
We wanted the quality.
But it was
really wanted the quality.
At first we were just using a regular phone, or
we had the whole flashlight and phone thing going on.
But we wanted something that everybody can be involved and see everything that we're doing. We don't hide anything. We don't fake anything. We don't manipulate anything. I mean, we've literally taken flashlights apart in front of the camera live to show them that there's nothing done to this thing. It's just a regular mag light. Put it back together and it still has activity to it. But we wanted something to really show that really well. But we wanted something mobile. So if activity started acting up, I could simply grab it and go. And so that's where we kind of came up with this rig. And a lot of people started asking what we use. So we decided to start putting it together to help other teams do what we're doing.
Basically, how I got involved, how we got the webcam involved was I got into some different webcams personally, and I just started taking them apart. We got the GoPro the cheap version of the GoPro camera, and I went on YouTube and saw that they took the IR filters out of them. I'm like, that's easy. I could do that. Mm-hmm. I love taking stuff apart. I love putting them back together. And I started tinkering with my iPhone, trying to get the camera off there so I can take the IR filter of the iPhone out. And I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And I'm like, I'm going to take some webcams. And I started taking different webcams that we had and started taking apart and finding the filter on it. So I just took it apart. And as soon as I put it back together and we started using it on our live stream, it was great. The quality of it was better. And not to knock all the other teams that are out there. We experienced everything that the other teams are experiencing with the flashlight in our hand, and we're talking to the camera, or we're using the flashlight to shine and all this other stuff. We did the same things they did. We just wanted to make it better at night for us to view and have other viewers watch us do it at night. And that's why I guess I developed more of the trying to take apart stuff and put it back together and try to make it better. And they started coming out with the phone and doing the stuff with the phone.
Oh, the PDA.
The PDA, and that was great. And that was wonderful.
It was a great starting tool for us.
Yeah, and it was a pixelation, and I think that's where it triggered me, is when they did it with the phone. And I'm like, if you can do it with the phone, there's got to be a way to do it with a camera. And we just went from there.
Yeah, and then having the rigs, we want other people to be able to have that great camera and to be able to do their live feeds and not have to walk around with a flashlight. If we figure it out, we want to share with everybody else so they can grow too, because we're all in it to grow the field together.
Yeah, we definitely want to improve the field and make the field better. And if we found something that works really well, we want others to be able to do the same.
Right. Yeah, I was in the same boat. I wanted to have good live streaming quality because, for one, the better resolution, the better you can analyze it, and better the viewers can see. The benefits are obvious. So I thought that was cool to actually see that. And Anthony Grothis messaged me the other night. He's like, "Hey, man, can I ask you what you use for your mobile live streaming setups and so on and so forth?" And he asked Justin Brown this. So, of course, I'm like, okay, what's your budget? What's the application? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, and then he shows me your guys' setup. He's like, well, this is what I'm thinking about getting. I was like, yeah, get that. I actually collaborated with EPS on that. Yeah. And so I can automatically say that that's going to work out for you. And he's like, okay, cool. So I just thought that was cool because, both the people that we know are, it's almost like a family. The community is probably the most coolest thing when you think about what's the coolest thing, involving what we do. It's got to be the people that we work with and that we share information with and experiences with.
Well, and that's what it's all about. It's about the collaboration and the networking and getting the right stuff out there to help this field grow. That's a big part of what we're about, is if you come across the right way and you're a legit team, and we know that you're not going to, BS anybody, we're going to recommend you and we're going to support you because that's what this field needs right now. I mean, there's so many people out there that want to discredit the field and discredit teams and try to make themselves look better, and they're in it for the fame, and that's not how it's supposed to go. That's just ruining things for everybody else. I mean, we all need to get together, work together, and unite to help, go in the direction it needs to go in.
It's just like, it's like what's happening weekend with Grounded Paranormal. There was something that happened to one of our local guys here that's in the paranormal field and stuff like that. And Jennifer McCart and Tom McCart took it in their power from Grounded Paranormal in New York to gather up all this stuff for the family that's in need here in West Virginia.
To come all the way down.
And they're coming the whole way down from New York to give them all this stuff and, to help them out with the situation that they're in. And it's just like, okay, I think there's a lot of stuff that's happened in that community because he's a police officer and everything like that. Yes, he's got a good net community there, but bringing in together the community and helping and not having him realize how much that we're helping him also. The Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
Yeah.
How everybody collaborates together and works together for some great, wonderful need. And, and I think that the more that we do out there in the field as a group, has people recognize us and people will recognize, hey, those paranormal people are doing something good.
They're doing good things. They're not devil worshiping.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that I think it's a wonderful thing that we have one big united family.
Yeah.
And we're all out to help each other out. We started out with Deadlight, one little box light that one of our other teams that came up to see what we were doing. And I saw his Deadlight and I'm like, where'd you get that? And he hooked me up with Josh. And then me and Josh started talking and Josh helped me build he built the light for me, but he built it the way I wanted it. And, and that took off from there. And that improved our live feeds. And then, improving with the camera, that improved our live feed with the Deadlight. And the more stuff that we provided for the live feeds was improving for us. We wouldn't have been able to accomplish that without the unity of all groups.
Yep, there you have it, folks. Attention seeking is not always bad. Sometimes, like look at celebrities. The celebrities out there, they make careers on gathering attention, and then they use that for good purposes, like for fundraisers, benefits and events that help people, raise money for cancer, MS, all kinds of stuff. Even if it's just helping a family just have their house burned down or something. I mean, you can use all the tools at your disposal for good or bad. That's definitely for sure. Before we forget, let's get to Val's question and any other questions that we need to catch up to.
Sure. Also, Teresa Richards from Australia, she follows you guys. She's on. Yep. Val asks, what sensations do you all feel when encountering an entity?
For some of us, it's different than others.
Each person has a different feeling that they get.
Yeah, so like Gilson being empathic, he can feel the emotions and stuff of a spirit. I'm a sensitive, so I've actually been able to describe what some spirits even look like and where they're standing and when they move. And but then you have Stephanie who doesn't feel anything. She gets nothing. She can be there in the room when things are going crazy and still get no sensation change, no feeling changes, none of that. So it's just all different on the person. All of us have a different level of what we can feel.
I feel coldness. I feel the heat of something being there, like emotion sometimes and stuff like that. I'll cry and, and
I'll feel the cold spots, and sometimes my stomach will get like a little fluttery, and I know that's like my personal sign that something is going on there.
Yeah, that's always been interesting because a lot of people want to know if it's something they're actually feeling that's spirit related or anomalous, or is it psychosomatic or something explainable going on that you're just perceiving as paranormal because you already have that thought in your mind that there might be something going on. So that's always been something that I've tried to take very close looks at and try to do certain tests and experiments. And I feel like there is definitely something going on. Me personally, growing up with a very unique mother, we feel the energy and the sensations very similarly, but she's more advanced than I. So it's almost like I'm trying to learn all the things that she's able to do and kind of opening my mind to it. Now, you mentioned what was the name of your group member that didn't feel anything? I'm sorry. Stephanie. Josh Bender started off like that. It was very, very rare that he would feel anything, and we would tease him about it. But more and more, as I open him up and we do these shows, and Jess, being in a relationship with Jess and opening his mind up to it more and more, he's starting to experience more sensations, more feelings. Some people are very resistant to it, whether it's an unconscious thing or a conscious thing. That's to be determined. But I thought that was a good question because I think everybody always wonders how they can trust that, but it's based on belief and experience, I think.
Yeah, I think each person individually is going to feel it differently too, from what we've heard from different people.
Right. Because, like, for example, if you feel sick to your stomach, that might be your response to something, where somebody else, it wouldn't make them feel sick. It might make them sweat. It might make them feel uneasy, or it might make their skin tingle or something. It's fascinating, I think. Any other questions?
Not on YouTube.
Not on Facebook.
Are you serious?
Well, a lot of people is talking amongst each other. They're telling stories and stuff.
They do that on ours also.
Yeah, usually it's just like we're bombarded, especially when we have a team on. It's because, like, oh, I get, to ask all these questions, and it's not just asking questions to Justin or the girls.
I'm going to say a lot of who watch you guys or who watch us as well, so they already know.
Right. I'm glancing over sometimes, and Robert's in there too. He's answering some questions that people are asking. And
nobody's really asking any questions. It's just Bill making snide-ass remarks.
That's Bill. Yep.
That's normal.
Yeah, that's Bill.
That's normal.
Bill was waiting for this live stream his whole life.
I feel.
Bill, get your butt up to Gettysburg Battlefield Bash this year, and you can have this in person.
Yeah.
That's all right, Bill.
Yep, that's somebody who's definitely been wanting to come up and and join the craziness that happens up here a little bit further north than from where he is. I think it'll happen eventually. Florida's a little far.
Well, he was supposed to come up for this one, and something came up last minute. He couldn't make it up.
Yeah.
He said he's a big deal on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bill's a good guy. I mean, if you did not know Bill, you would think that he was just like, just get away, right? Yeah. But I've talked to him on the phone, and I've talked to him, on video chat a few times, and it's totally a facade. He just gets a kick out of it. But he is just a great guy, and I can't wait to the time we get to link up and have some fun.
I do have a question now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Teresa Richards asks, has any of your team felt like there was a brick wall that you can't pass when a negative is around?
We've come into some situations where you can feel the mood starting to change to the negative. Usually in that case, we do call Rob. We get Rob into the room. Just because we know he can handle it, and we try to learn from him. So we've never really been, as far as us sitting here, I don't think, has been in a spot where we're completely out of our element and can't control it.
Yeah, there was one that sparks that the most. I was with Ryan and Lindsay when we were at the temple, and there was a prayer room there. And it was always really creepy room. And we had come through the door, the three of us. They were sitting on one side of the room, and I was sitting on the opposite side. and there was a door on either side. This one was closed, this one on the side was open. And after I was sitting there for a while, I started to feel extremely uncomfortable, and like something was watching me through that doorway. I was not supposed to be there. It didn't want me there. And at a point, I was like, okay, I need to get up and move because something's going to happen. So I got up and I ended up going to the other side of the room and stood between Ryan and Lindsay, and I was kind of explaining to them. So then we took the flashlight and shined it through that doorway, and for some reason, something had moved a chair perfectly almost over in the center of the doorway that we had come through, and we knew it wasn't there because you would have had to go around it to come into the room. That's the only time that I felt really uneasy and really uncomfortable about a situation. But then once I moved over there with them and I wasn't sitting over there by myself, I didn't have so much of that feeling. And once we shined the light and I saw that chair had moved, it was confirmation for me that I was okay. That's why I was feeling it. Mm-hmm. Something was over there and it had blocked the doorway. And whatever was in that room, we're pretty sure is the same thing that Rob ended up with as an attachment a couple of years later. So it was definitely a very negative being that was within that room.
And Rob's pretty good on knowing what situations that each of us can handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good at saying, hey, I don't want you to go into this one. I don't want you to be involved with this one. And, you know, we could be involved there, but he won't let us participate in the investigation side of it if they're going into a certain room that feels negative or anything like that.
A good example is the Devil House. You know, Rob felt as though because where you were with your abilities and he'd get picked on quite a bit and all, he stayed at command the entire time at the Devil House.
Yeah.
And we salted and blockaded the command in the garage so it couldn't come out to you.
Yeah.
Except for it was in the ceiling above you at one point in time because that wasn't blockaded.
No,
Yeah.
So
it's kind of hard to blockade the ceiling.
yeah.
Sounds like a smart demon.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all these people are just putting rings around the floor, but they're not, you know, they're not like mixing the salt with glue and pasting it on the ceilings. Very, very interesting. Did we have any other questions? I want to make sure that we got caught up there. Earth to
I'm
Jess.
clear.
Earth to Misty. No. Okay. What have you learned in your whole span of paranormal investigation? What do you feel like your takeaways are at this point? What is one thing you can say that you've learned that you didn't know when you first started doing paranormal field research?
Us as people, we're the ones that put the limitation on what the paranormal can be. Knowing that they can read your thoughts. They know that we're coming before we come there. The mediums are hitting on things before we come there. We had a spirit jump from our location all the way down to Phillip in Georgia. Mm-hmm. Like those things that there is no stopping them to a degree, that we're the ones that have the idea of the limitations. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. You gotta think outside the box and don't limit yourself. Because they're not limited, so we can't be limited.
Yeah.
I think I learned a lot more of what my abilities were with, you know, as they're growing and what stuff I need to change to improve myself through this field. Because, when I was a kid, I saw something and I just blew it off. You know, as I'm a Civil War reenactor and going out to the campgrounds and experiencing noises and stuff, I blew it off. And it's just like, okay, now that it's increasing around me, and as I'm experiencing it more and more and more, it's understanding what my limitations are and understanding what I can handle and what I can do and what I can do to help myself prevent it from getting worse. Every day you learn something new. Mm-hmm. It's not a field that you sit there and I know this, I mastered it, and I'm done with it. No, a spirit changes every day, and everything that they do is, something different and something new,
Yeah, for me, it's a lot like what Gilson was saying. I'd get weird feelings as a kid that I now know is because of my abilities and learning how to control my abilities. But the biggest thing for me is how to help people in these situations. That's the satisfaction I get out of this, is the fact that we're making people feel comfortable. And for me, it's putting faith back into those people, while dealing with this stuff is the biggest thing I've learned out of it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I'm constantly trying to learn. I feel like when I stop learning, then the journey is over. And why should I just continue? I don't think I should ever feel content and confident in knowing, what I think I know is going to be here to stay and never change. I mean, I think life is all about constant adjustments, change, learning throughout the whole process. So I think it's definitely key, and that's kind of why I asked that question. Do you guys feel like you rely on gadgets and documenting devices and recording devices as much, less, or more than you do people's abilities and Janie and other people that are metaphysicists as well, or is there a balance there?
It's a balance, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. When you can take... So with our team, when Janie gets something, she tells Rob. Rob does not tell the rest of us at first. The team goes in with very, very little information, and we collect the evidence through the devices. And then it collaborates what Janie was picking up, or it collaborates with what I was picking up, or what the viewers were picking up.
Or the homeowner's experience.
Or, the client itself.
So it definitely goes hand in hand. I mean, without one, you can't verify the other, in a sense. So I feel as though that they're both just equally as important.
Yeah, each end verifies the other.
Right. Also, that kind of goes along with that. Do you ever feel like if you're relying on a psychic or you're relying on something like that for information, has there ever been a time where it's been off or wrong? Is there a limitation to what you're able to do as a psychic when it comes to trying to find answers and solve paranormal problems?
What I think it is, I don't think they're off or wrong. I just think it could relate to another investigation that we're going to, and not knowing. It might be that situation there for that house. It might not be. It might lead to another investigation because this client asked us to come out to investigate their house, and we investigated their house. And Janie might have some experiences there, and she might say stuff that could happen, and it might not. And you never know where the situation could happen. It could happen any investigation we'll go to. You just can't limit yourself on what a person provides you. In the fire department, they always tell us not to rely on our tools all the time and get tunnel vision. And if you focus on your tools and you're not realizing what you're using, you're not going to realize what's going on. Right. Well, Jason, if you use her tool at a certain location and it's not off, it can be off, but it might not pertain to that location at that time. It might lead to another location that, because of this client or something else, it's going to happen.
I mean, you can have three people looking at the exact same thing and they all see something slightly different on that. One person picks up on one thing, somebody else picks up on something else. So it's not that they're wrong, they're just a different perspective, for lack of a better term.
Or different spirit. It's not 1-800 spirit. We can't go, hey, Janie, can you contact my great-great-great-grandmother thinks? She doesn't know who she's going to get. Yeah. You can't pick the channel that you open to exactly who you want to talk to. So we never know what she's going to get or if she's going to get anything at all.
Right. I kind of intuitively knew that would be your answer, but I just wanted the viewers who wouldn't know kind of know what redundancies you take and what how strict your protocol is. I know Rob said that Janie is usually absolutely accurate, but you go through all the steps just to make sure, to validate and, because like we mentioned before, trying to understand the psychic phenomena, how it works, how frequent it is, how accurate it is. And what I think is interesting, what kind of Gilson brought up was, let's just say Janie or Jess or Missy are getting information. Depending on the source, it could be a line of things just wanting to be said or told or communicated through her. So maybe someone jumps the line and she gets that, and she presents it, and it's not pertaining to the location or what you're investigating at the time. So I just found that interesting, because it's not like you're Googling it. It's like you're relying on something with a consciousness and a will sometimes.
Well, if you look at it, I think if you look at it this way, if the other spirits knew that Janie can communicate with them, there's a spirit that's going to be out there. It's impatient, and once they tell them something, hey, she can hear me, I'm going to go talk to her, and I want to get stepped in front of the line, like you said. I want to step in front of the line and just tell her and stuff like that. I ride the train every day to go to work. I get plucked with on the train every time. And I asked Janie, I said, Janie, do spirits go there and pluck at different people just to see the reaction? Yeah. Well, yeah. I get picked on the train. Like, somebody's tapping me on the shoulder. I hear somebody whistling.
Who can tell they're there.
Yeah. I'm going to pluck on you. If you acknowledge I'm here, okay, I'm going to focus on you and start talking to you.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way with, anybody that's out there. Well, you can hear me? Okay, I'm going to go to you, and I'm going to talk to you more and more and more, because you can get my information out there quicker than I'm not going to sit there anymore.
Yeah.
Also, do you guys get varying results and evidence depending on who's there, who's asking questions, who's investigating, who's the ghost magnet, and who's the ghost repellent in the group?
I think me, Freddie, and Janie are the hurt magnets.
Yeah.
We get the hurt more, and attention more. I'm an ordained minister, so I do weddings, and I do focus a lot more on the Bible and focus a lot more on scripture and stuff like that. I don't memorize them as well as I should, but I know they're there, and stuff like that. So yes, I think I pluck a little bit more because of my ministry, my ministry in my head and all this other stuff, and also the ordained shit. And I think everybody on our team is pretty much different magnets towards it.
Yeah.
I seem to get a lot of the little girls, and the women usually seem to feel more comfortable and seem to come to me for some reason more than maybe to you guys. I've noticed that. But I couldn't say I'm particularly a ghost magnet. Gilson, you get a lot of little kids too. They like you.
I get a lot of little kids.
So does Freddie. Freddie gets a lot of little kids. Rob gets a lot of demons.
I wouldn't say any of us per se repel any spirits.
Maybe
though.
Stephanie does.
Probably Steph or Rob,
Yeah.
Or Sean snoring. Yeah, I don't think anybody really repels them unless it's a certain situation that's like a little kid or a woman that's uncomfortable with a man. Then we'll usually send in an all-girls team, or if it's an area that they don't want women, sometimes we'll go in just to make them, come and try to get us to leave. Or we'll send in all the guys because it's a guys-only club. So for situations like that, it may vary, but yeah.
Yeah, the reason I ask, you have a lot of members in a group, and you may have a lot on a location at a time, depending on the size. And I was just curious, does somebody get more EVPs? Does a certain group get more, stuff to manifest? I was just curious on if there's any variance in that.
I think it just depends on the location that we go to.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the questions we ask.
Well,
and how curious the spirit is as we're there.
It's going to be just like, any normal situation. I mean, I'm going to be more likely to go to talk to certain people because of their personality over other people. I think it's the same way with the spirits. Some spirits may like my personality better than Laura's or Rob's, or, the temple. We had the bar at the temple. I could always get activity at that bar.
Mhm.
You know, I would act like a bartender. I would kind of goof off a little bit, and I would always get flashlights to go off. We can get stuff on the spirit box and all. But other people can go and try to do the exact same thing I was doing and can get absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, Rob has the one client that he went to their house and there was the spirit of a little boy, and he would only turn the flashlights on for Rob.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it for anybody else till Rob asked him to, you know, can you do what the other people ask you?
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on the spirit and who the spirit connects with in that particular location.
I think the best example we ever had of that was at Carlos Cathedral.
Yeah.
So we had some people come and hang out with us for an evening, and the young boy, they're from Dixieland Mystical Society.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Tim, and at the time he was younger. He connected with the little boy spirit there because, come to find out, the little boy spirit said that it looked like his brother. And we were actually able to get Tim, first time he'd ever really been out in the field at all, to connect with this little boy and explain to him that everything's okay and it's going to be all right and you can cross over. And we actually got a crossover that night with him. And it's just because what that spirit was relating to.
Yeah.
So it varies.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got about 8 minutes left till we hit 10. Do you guys want to start doing some plugs? Let everyone know if you have any events coming up, what future plans are coming up, anything like that.
We have our we're doing a live investigation. Well, we do our live feeds, the Paratalk, at 12 o'clock on Facebook, on Elite Paranormal Society's Facebook page. And we also do the Paratalk at 2 o'clock on Paranormal Warehouse on Sundays, which is a big thing for us, where we interact and talk about our experiences and talk about the field, the tools that we use, and different EVPs, and share our stuff with people. And
we have our live investigation that we're going to be doing at the KOA campground on Friday, November 8th, and we're doing a second one on Saturday, November 9th. So we will be live. We'll be live streaming from there with some members from the team. It'll probably be a mix-up of the different nights, so we do have both of those live events if you want to see us in action.
The KOAs are pretty. What's cool about the KOA is they have a haunted house that they use every October for their moneymaker. And the haunted house is actually haunted.
That's why they use it for a haunted house. No one wants to live in it.
We've gotten a lot of interaction from there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a lot of different interaction on the campground itself.
And apparently this year the haunted house was very active with invisible haunts.
Yes.
So we wanted to get in there as quickly as possible after all the Halloween activities over to see what's got it ramped up.
So they'll be live November 8th and 9th. Everything does get shared to our Elite page on Facebook. I believe that weekend they are live on Paranormal Warehouse's page, just to get a bigger viewing. But it will get shared to ours, so you can definitely find it off of ours. So we have our Facebook page. We have an Elite Paranormal Society group page where anybody that's in there can post live streams and comments. We just ask to keep it paranormal related. We do have an Instagram, Elite Paranormal Society. You can find us on there. And then some of us do have our own pages as well that we share Elite stuff to. Laura, Rob, Freddie, Janie, and myself all have pages. We are going to be making one for Gilson.
Mm-hmm. And we're also on YouTube.
And on YouTube. And then for anybody curious and doesn't know yet, our medium does do phone reads. You can find hers on her Facebook page. I'll put the links up later tonight or tomorrow on our Facebook page. So if you jump to there, you can find them. Small fee. She'll do a read. No time constraint on that. And so far, everybody's been very, very pleased with those. So just to give Janie a good shout out there as well.
Yeah.
Also, did you want to plug like your apparel and the live streaming setup?
Yeah, great time for Christmas is we got cups, T-shirts.
Beanies.
We do. Yeah, we have the beanies.
Jeremy has on the shirt that we're doing on special
they
for
can see
$10 plus shipping right now. Has Paranormal Investigator on the front and it's larger on the back. And then we have the live streaming camera rig right now that you can get that has the holder. and the camera and the mini IR.
Saging kit.
Saging kit.
Yep. So just go out to Elite Paranormal.
You can shop our store.
Shop our store. And we need a store.
There is a page.
We have a store too.
No. We need a store.
Like a store.
A physical store.
Yeah,
right.
That would be cool, but it's harder and more expensive to keep those things going. Online shopping is where it's at. I would like to see if the live streaming rigs for you guys take off. I would like to see them come equipped with like a deadlight, like a demon or something small.
We would love to work something out. So, Josh, if you're watching, we definitely want to help you out, buddy.
Well, he's so behind. That's why it's not going to be.
Yeah, he's behind right now. So
he's been behind for 2 years. But the demons, I think that he can probably work those in because they're 3D printed and they're smaller, and he can assemble them and make them quicker. So maybe he can get to the point where he can sit on a few extra. And if you guys get an order for it, he can ship it out with that order for you guys, and that might be the perfect setup there.
Rob's been talking about trying to get to that point. So
yeah.
And the one of the things is it's just like when we bought our recorders. We bought our recorders and they were like $25, maybe $15. Now they're like $60.
Yeah.
And it's like the mag lights. You go out and buy a mag light and it was $8.
Yeah.
Now they're 16, 17, 18. Everything's going up in price because the popularity of the equipment. Mm-hmm. And more and more people are buying it. Yeah. So it's like, wait a minute. And it's just like the webcams. They're harder and harder to get. And times are changing that they're integrating the IR into different levels of the layers of the lenses inside the camera.
You can't change them.
So you can't change them, and they're gluing them better, and there's, making it harder for me to take apart.
Yeah, SJ Cam is usually the best one to mod when it comes to action cameras. The Zoom cameras are actually ones that you want to look into as well. The Zoom Q8, the Zoom Q2N, and the other. We'll get into that, but I want to go ahead and wrap up the show. I want to let you guys know that I appreciate you coming on in short notice and filling in tonight. That is really cool for you guys to do. I'm glad that we had got to do that. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, no problem.
We'll have to do a special show for Rob on a Friday night or a Saturday.
Yeah, get with him and see if we can make that happen. I know I'll probably have to do a special show just for that, but that's no problem. I think I can manage that. But I want to go ahead and wrap up the show. And if you want to stay on the call and just hang out for a moment, you can do that. If you got to go, then we'll see you.
We're good, buddy.
All right. Guys, I really, really want you guys to check out the links in the video descriptions. Go check out Elite Parasoc on Facebook, their YouTube channel, their Instagram, everything that's linked in the description. Just please go check out. We've been supporting EPS for a long time now, and we want you guys that are not familiar with everything that they're doing to become familiar with and just kind of strengthen the community that way. We stand behind everything they do. They're just incredible, very nice people. So please do that. And thank you for joining us tonight. Next week, we'll have another My Paranormal Soapbox. We haven't voted on the topic yet. I want to throw in this plug. I just rendered our 4th episode of Madison Seminary that will be premiering tomorrow. It cut off the first 8 seconds of my film, and I'm deeply wounded right now. I don't know if I'll re-render it. It takes 8.5 hours to render. I might just upload it like that. If someone buys the DVD, I'll just have to re-render it for Blu-ray anyway, so you won't have that issue. But please consider watching the premiere of A Haunting at Madison Seminary on Halloween tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on the RU Media Network Facebook page, Interface Death Facebook page, Interface Death YouTube channel, the Interface Death Twitch channel, and Periscope on Twitter. So please check that out tonight. Tomorrow, guys, we worked very hard on it, and I am exhausted from doing it. I would love if, we got more than just a few hundred views. But we'll go over to the links here real quick. Check us out on interfacedeath.net. As always, you can, if you want to support us financially, $1 a month gets you rewards. Check out Interface Death on Patreon. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitch. We're on Discord. You can join our community on Discord as well. So real quick, we'll do the Patreon shout outs. Everybody that you see on the screen now is a contributor. I don't have Anthony Grothis on here because I forgot to update it, but we have Clay Borman, Scotty Fox, Katie Turner, RJ Murphy, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Joe Vitelli, Heather Elliott, Betty Kegley, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, Kelly McConkey, The Ghost Guild, and Anthony Grothis. Extend your thanks to them for making this content free for you guys. And like I said, even if you want to pledge or donate $1 to our PayPal, that link is in the description as well. And that's where I'm going to leave it. We love you guys. Thank you very much. Stick around for some video promotions, the trailer to Madison Seminary. Check out the Deadlight promo, all those things. Thank you. Have a good night. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
On Saturday, November 30th, take your journey into the supernatural into one of Ohio's most wicked jails. Built in 1889, the old Licking County Jail was home to its fair share of dangerous inmates, leading to 14 inmate deaths as well as 4 sheriffs. These violent deaths inevitably led to the closure of the jail in 1987. Join us for a night of history and an overnight ghost hunt you'll never forget. Your journey awaits.
Welcome to Ground Zero. This is the talk of the talk. You know, everybody is captivated by this area. This is what I call the asylum. When I first purchased the place, it wasn't hard to know that this has been whitewashed. Everybody has their sort of the boogeyman. When you're young and growing up, be good, the boogeyman's gonna get you. Well, you wanna know what the boogeyman in Madison is? It's this place. You grew up here and you acted up in front of your parents, you get sent here. Now that sends a red flag. If this was a nice facility and everyone's being taken care of, why are you gonna send them here? Something was happening behind these walls.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.